What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the Pay-Per-Viewpoint AEW Double or Nothing preview, Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert E. Felice.
The best I can give you is an IOU. I'm actually broke. I actually owe the house. What can we do here?
I don't know. What can we do, Callum Wiggins?
Well, I'm the double and I'm joined by a couple of nothings.
That's fair. I just said I was broke. I can't argue.
Truer words have never been spoken. We are going to break down here the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, at least as currently what is set up for 4:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday. We, of course, have an episode of Dynamite that is going to change some things up in the meantime, but we have to record this a little bit in advance for, as mentioned before, a little programming note. Rearranged schedule this week because I'm going to be getting my wisdom teeth taken out on Thursday, so I do not know for sure if I'm going to be around for the hot tags on Friday. Do not know for sure if I will be able to do the post show for King and Queen of the Ring or AEW Double or Nothing on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have to see how that all works out, but I am hoping to be on part of that, and if not, then it is what it is. I'm doing my best, but the Double or Nothing stuff, we had planned to do this on Thursday, and I'm certainly not going to be able to do that immediately after getting that taken care of. So these guys were able to rearrange their schedules a little bit. Of course, always thankful for them in so many different ways. And I'm thankful for all you listening. I'm thankful for any of you who take part in all this marketplace stuff that we always mention that helps us out here. Redbubble and TeePublic is where you pick up your merchandise to help us out. If you subscribe to the Patreon or you join the YouTube channel membership, that is also a great way to help offset the bullshit algorithm of YouTube. You got the little thanks button too that's out there if you want to toss a little spare change our way or try to, I don't know, help out with the medical bills or something. We got the totally free options that I always mention. Hit the like button on this video, helps us out. Double check that you're subscribed. Has the share button, pass us around, post us on like a message board or Reddit or the Discord server or something like that. Let your friends know if they're interested in this podcast and all. And Discord server that we have up is also a great place to chat it up too, just like our Facebook group at the Megamaniacs. But start getting into Double or Nothing because we have 9 matches to talk about here, and of course we have our usual question of what else do you think is going to be added to the card. We currently don't know any match for the 0 hour, and there of course will be, because Tony Khan has never had a 0 hour without at least one match. I think he might have actually never had one without at least 3, if I remember correctly, unless we go maybe back to the very beginning.
A lot of the early ones only had one match.
Yeah, like maybe like the first like Fighter Fest or something, maybe only had one match. But
no, it's surprisingly a lot of ones going into like 2020 and 2021 only had one match as well.
Really?
I know this because I've been looking up cage matches of the old of their previous shows.
So when did he start doing like 5?
Mainly like late 2022 going into 2023, around about that level of time.
I mean, we definitely were going to get something, and that could be any number of different things. I mean, sometimes we get ROH matches, sometimes we get the extra titles that aren't necessarily on the line because they have more than enough championships at this point that you could have 9 matches on the card and still have championships that are not included. And you've got the option of just like regular feuds. You've got miscellaneous matches that do not have any kind of setup whatsoever. Those things are hard to predict. And looking at this card, nothing stands out to me too much as far as like, well, this isn't set up except for maybe a trios match. And I would assume that would probably be Death Triangle fighting for those belts, but then again, maybe I'm missing something.
More than likely correct. Unless somebody's injured that I don't know about.
I don't know for certain because I don't know what the matches are at the moment for Dynamite and Collision, but have they announced they're doing Jay White versus Pac at all on any of those shows?
No. We
I
will be
would
hearing from the Bang Bang Gang.
Yeah, I would anticipate that we get a singles match between Pac and Jay White instead of the trios match just yet.
To be honest, to be just genuine, I would prefer that. in terms of like, if you're asking me what would I rather see, yeah, I'd probably prefer singles.
As a 0 hour or regular match on the card?
I mean, at this point, 0 hour. Jay White's the king of the 0 hour, baby. What are we doing here? As long as you don't put him against Billy Gunn, I don't know if he can handle it.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be a 0 hour match. I think the 9 matches that we currently got are the ones that will make up the main card.
Maybe we get a little Kyle O'Reilly versus Buddy Matthews, or Kyle O'Reilly, Brody King.
Yeah, it could be something like that. I mean, that could also be a 0 hour match that they just throw on there because, hey, why not? They could do any number of different things for that, but I do think that we're not looking at any other titles. Like, I don't think we're going to get some, like, the ROH world title is defended, or the ROH women's title is defended, or, you know, whatever, you know, the case like that. The pure title is not going to be defended on this 0 hour, for instance. I mean, it could be, for all I fucking know. I don't think it will be.
I mean, Wheeler Yuta...
it certainly can't be if Yuta's not available, yeah.
Where's Wheeler Yuta? Boy, Yuta's been dealing with concussion issues, and, you know, he's kind of
been gone for a while.
He's been gone for 4 months as of the 11th, and it's concerning, honestly.
I'm surprised that they haven't done something to crown a new champion yet at this point. But then again, I guess they figure, like, it's ROH, who cares? And they got plenty of other distractions. You know, we got Billy Starks and all these other people that we can put out there, so let's do that instead. But yeah, I mean, all the more reason why I don't think that we're going to get some kind of ROH centered match. But we could get anything. And at least when it comes to the trios, Bullet Club Gold and Death Triangle thing, that's the only thing that stands out to me as, like, more than likely they'll do something revolving around that. Any other kind of possibilities stand out to you guys?
We haven't done a Casino Battle Royal in a while, have we?
No, it almost seems like he doesn't even like to do that anymore. It's weird.
Thunder Rosa versus Deonna Purrazzo.
Oh yeah, they should have like a no DQ match. They should have a parking lot. I know we just did that 'cause of Trent and Chuck, but they should fight in the parking lot. Like, they should beat the shit out of each other in some match.
See, that strikes me as that would be more so something that would happen on Dynamite or Collision.
I mean, the whole feud's happened on Rampage. They deserve... Sure. These two deserve something.
I'd say that they could have a singles match on the buy-in, and then they do the more explosive second match on either a Dynamite or a Collision or something.
So, I mean, these 9 matches that are currently scheduled, they do seem like that they would take up the full time. Some of these are probably going to go pretty long. And pretty long in an AEW capacity is very different from a WWE capacity. I would assume the Anarchy and the Arena match is probably going to be, you know, a big bulk of an hour, not, you know, a 40-minute long match or something. But I do think that there's a pretty good chance that that's going to end up being, you know, a sizable chunk of time. Previous Anarchy and the Arena matches were around like a half hour or so, if I remember correctly. Say Double or Nothing 2022. Yeah, 23 minutes for that one. And then you got the 27-minute one in 2023. Yeah, so it's like, all right, we can book a half hour for that one. And we've got 8 other matches. So yeah, that's going to take up a lot of time. If they do announce something, of course, in the meantime, we'll play around with that, update things as much as we can. Let's start breaking down these 9 matches. The one that has the least amount of stakes attached to it is Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. It's just a singles match, no titles involved because neither of them are champions, and it's just a grudge feud. I don't think that they're going to necessarily continue this all that much going forward on a pay-per-view, and they could just keep it going for future episodes of Dynamite, and, you know, have like Trent be involved in some group and Orange Cassidy teams up with people, and he's got a lot of allies, so you can play around with that too. But I could see this just being sort of the end of it. Just have Orange Cassidy win, and that's it.
Where do you think Don Callis factors into this?
That I don't know. That's really confusing to me. I think Trent's going into the Don Callis family, but he's aligning himself with appearing to be siding with Orange at this point in time, but I think that the long-term goal is to put Trent Beretta into it, especially because they're going to be almost certainly losing Will Ospreay from the group soon. So,
and they're already down a man with Hobbs.
Yeah, and Mark Davis isn't necessarily going to be popping right up in that.
Yeah, so line up Trent Beretta as a ready-made replacement. So I think I like the fact that they've built this up quite funnily in that they have already had the match on Dynamite, which Trent says that Orange Cassidy cheated, and so in the promo said, challenge you at Double or Nothing to a straight-up wrestling match. Just it's like no stipulation, just like we're meant to do this fairly, and so Trent's going to win by cheating over Orange Cassidy, probably with Don Callis' involvement. And I mean, they're setting up nicely on Dynamite by doing Trent and Roderick Strong against Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay, which is kind of like a interesting mix, especially considering that Don Callis is seemingly, or is aligned to Will Ospreay in name only at the moment, and it seems to be leaning towards Orange Cassidy out of the two of these. So realistically, he ends up with Trent Beretta at the end of it. But yeah, I don't see this feud ending on this one. I think they're going to do some kind of more gimmicked up match as the blow off on a big episode of the Dynamite or Collision or something. In the meantime, I don't think they'll extend it out to, because their next big show is Forbidden Door. It doesn't make sense for them to do just AEW versus AEW match on Forbidden Door, and they can't stretch it all the way out to All In. So they'll just have a blow off match on a marquee episode of Dynamite or Collision.
I mean, I could see them doing something at Forbidden Door where it's a tag match, like Orange Cassidy and two people against Trent Beretta and two people.
They could extend it. They could extend it out a little bit there.
Like,
Orange Cassidy and Ishii against Beretta and Hobbs.
Jeff Cobb, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, like they could do something like that. And if that's the case, then it makes a little bit more sense for Trent Beretta to win here and to continue that feud. And it could just happen through Don Callis too. I mean, it sounds like it's like a cop-out answer, but it's like, all right, if the feud's over, Orange Cassidy wins. If the feud's not over, he doesn't. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think the feud's over. So
They should fight in the parking lot too, for that matter.
All at the same time. So they should all just go visit NXT.
Yeah, that's the best wrestling show of the week. What do you mean?
Yeah, you go to the parking lot there, you know you're going to get into a fight.
You know, I think honestly that could be an interesting blow off, because that seems to be the best friends, like gimmick match, down to that's how they ended Taylor's career. So if you wanted to get the payback, I could see it going that way. I could also see Statlander eventually siding with Trent and going that way as well for the Don Callis family, because
I think we'll be getting to that a bit later.
He's great, and yeah, I do as well.
Well, let's talk about that. That later.
Yeah, because this ain't the main event, boys and girls.
It's not going to be the main event. It's the AEW TBS Championship match. Willow Nightingale defending against Mercedes Moné. Finally get to see Mercedes in the ring after all of her... What's a nice way to say shit promos?
I haven't
been like it.
Then you said shit. Like,
I haven't liked that at all. And, I know that she's great in a lot of ways. So it's not like it's like, throw the book out. She's got no chance of being anything worthwhile. I know that that's not the case, but man, I just haven't been enjoying anything about Mercedes at AEW. And winning the title here seems like it's a foregone conclusion, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to go gaga over that either. And I like Willow. It's not that I would be like, okay, she shouldn't beat Willow because I like Willow, but like, I don't know. I mean, she's kind of seems like it's taken a long time to get to a spot that was very obvious from the start. I kind of want to just like move on already to be like, who's Mercedes fighting after this?
I like Willow, I like Mercedes. These are two of my favorite women's wrestlers just in general. I mean, even, taking out the women's there, they're just two of my favorite wrestlers. That being said, this has not been Mercedes' finest hour. Like, I get it. I do. I understand what you're going for, that she's, she's bigger than all of this, but in that sense, like Callum's been saying, you should join the elite. Like, she seems like she's that kind of a heel. And I just want to, as Tony said, I just want to see her win this belt because it's like, let's start doing the thing where Mercedes is on TV every week again so people can get reminded, okay, she's here because she's good. Because people have not followed her the way most diehard fans will. Some people are probably just like, yeah, okay, Sasha's washed. You know, she had the fun in WWE, but she's still great and she needs to prove that.
Yeah, I think this match could be like really, really great because Mercedes coming in with a lot to prove, and Willow's been doing really well since over the last year or so, almost since she defeated Mercedes in that New Japan Strong match. She's gone from strength to strength to strength, and yeah, I think that these two have already shown in their previous match that they do have good chemistry. Hopefully, the same sort of mistake doesn't happen in this instance, but I think that if it all comes together, this could be like, you know, a bit of a show stealer type match.
Love it.
I think the long term thing is like we're asking about like, oh, we just want to get this over with and see what Mercedes does next. Well, realistically, what Mercedes does next long term is Willow Nightingale.
That is true.
Because the long term aim of this will be this is the start, and eventually further down the road, Willow's going to beat Mercedes. Not in a month's time, or not even all in or anything like that. It's going to be, you know, maybe even another year or year and a half from now, but it's going to happen again. This is just setting the groundwork for it. But in order for that to happen, Mercedes has to beat Willow and get the title. I think it's totally fine for Willow to have like a short run with the title. I think she's that kind of babyface where she'll eventually have the super long reign, but now this is just a taste of that, and then we'll see what we get with her moving forward. When fundamentally coming out of this, there's a very good possibility that not only is she kind of semi-feuding with Mercedes Moné, she's also potentially feuding with Chris Statlander off the back of this, and that gives her another story to move on to. So, yeah, I think that the issue with Mercedes is just the fact that her segments feel like, not even current WWE, but like WWE from 2-3 years ago. It's like, in the same way you had this Cody verse in the past and the Jericho Vortex, she's got her own little like Mercedes Bermuda Triangle going on, where her segments feel completely disconnected from anything else that happens on the show. So it makes her stuff stand out, but not in a positive way. They're making the right decision by turning her heel. It's really the only way it works. But the issue with a character like Mercedes, especially if you do turn her heel and maybe either give her like an entourage or join her up with the Elite, is that she won't wrestle very often. And the one thing that Mercedes excels at is wrestling. So
yeah, she needs to wrestle weekly.
But they can't do that if she's a heel, and they won't do that if she's a heel because that's just not how it really works. And if they do, she'd just be wrestling jobbers and winning matches in 3 minutes. That's not how. I say, like it's the weird thing of like Mercedes' ability or ring skills is pure like babyface in terms of. She should be wrestling off because she's a great wrestler, and that's what will get her over. But her attitude and personality is pure heel, so she can't balance those two things out. You kind of have to hold her off from wrestling that often in order to make her matches feel like a big deal and make her feel like someone who only fights for the big prize or when she needs to. But then she needs to have banger matches when she does wrestle in order to keep up that mystique. So hopefully it starts off with a great match here. I have full confidence that these two will do a really good job.
Question, do we see Camille? I think Camille would be a great heater for Sasha.
I've been waiting to see either Camille or Megan Bain turn up and do that sort of role.
It is weird that they've had them on retainer for so long and not used them.
They had Sasha since January. They didn't show her till March, April. So Camille's been signed since I think February.
Yeah, I think they're figuring out the right moment to bring them in or what sort of thing they were doing. But yeah, I think I'd be totally down for an idea of like Mercedes being surrounded by these two giantesses either side of her, and Megan Bain and Camille. They could become like a dominant tag team as well and be like the walls that you have to get through in order to get to Mercedes. So I think that could be a good story if they go with that approach. I mean, fucking hell, you could even add potentially Statlander to that one, but I'd kind of prefer Statlander just be annoyed at how successful Willow's gotten with the title that she won all those months ago, and just be after Willow on her own rather than aligning herself to Mercedes.
I do think that we're going to get a turn for Statlander, more so than that we're going to get Camille or Megan Bayne or both teaming up with Mercedes. But they've done some different things with the people that they've brought in that I didn't see coming. So it's not like it's like, oh, every time that they do something, it's very like straightforward and easily predictable and all that. Sometimes they kind of switch it up a little bit. So maybe they're going to plan to do something like that. I could see more so Camille being somebody that's brought into like the learning tree, to be honest.
I would like it if Jericho's group is just a bunch of massive individuals. Mm-hmm. They're literal trees.
Literal trees. All right, so we're all going Mercedes beating Willow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Chris Jericho then. He has an FTW rules match coming up for whoever wins this FTW Contenders Series, which right now it's down to Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, and Bryan Keith after Rocky Romero, Johnny TV, and Boulder were taken out. 3 random ass names for that. So the Eliminator final is happening on Dynamite. Of course, we don't know what's happening yet, or what happened yet. But between Hook, Shibata, and Bryan Keith, the thing that makes the most sense to me is it's weird that they put Bryan Keith in there. So why would you put him in there just to have another match with Hook or another match with Shibata? But I don't know if I really trust the idea that it's Bryan Keith in a match against Chris Jericho here. Sounds a little strange.
That's definitely not Bryan Keith.
I mean, I would like it if it was. Just gonna put that out there. I think that'd be cool. But
this is just to get Bryan
it's
Keith get a thing on Dynamite for him.
Yeah,
I think he's the one that loses to Hook or Shibata.
It's just Hook. It's just Hook. It's another title shot.
Yeah, I think it would just be Hook. They've already done the Shibata and Jericho match a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to put Bryan Keith in the match here. The only thing that I could see Bryan Keith winning is if they're doing some kind of shock angle thing with the fact that like he manages to pull out like Shibata and Hook getting each other's way, and Keith just manages to steal kind of a roll up and get the opportunity, and then Samoa Joe is like dealing with both Shibata and Hook in order to say like you lost your focus and that's why you're not getting the title shot. That's why Bryan Keith is fighting for your FTW championship. So because I think that they're heading into like a trio of those 3 moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a way to stall things. And it's not like Jericho versus Bryan Keith wouldn't be a fun match, because I'm sure it could be. And it's something different for Jericho. It gets Bryan Keith like a really prominent position if they want to like springboard him moving forward. But I kind of feel like that would just be like a one-off match. Whereas like Hook, the difference with the Hook thing is at least it's continuing the story. The issue being, is it too early to have Hook win the title back?
I think it's too early.
Yeah, because then it's a case of, well, do you have Big Bill just interfere and cost him here, or is that just a lame way of having this match? Because they'd essentially have the same match they had last time, only probably Hook would be a bit more dominant in the match, but then Big Bill would help him cheat to win. And if you're already doing things like what we expected, having Mercedes Moné not necessarily cheat to win, but has some kind of interference to help her win, and you could also say the same thing might happen in like a couple of other matches, like let's say Don Callis gets involved in the Trent Orange Cassidy. Even the 2 matches we've just discussed could have interference involved. Do you really want to do another match with interference to get the result here? So I don't know, part of me thinks that maybe Bryan Keith is actually the best decision, just to get a straight up match. But yeah, I think it'll be Jericho versus Hook, and I think Jericho will retain in some fashion.
I think the least likely option is Shibata. I'd be totally down for Bryan Keith, but I feel like every time they do this with Hook, it's just to get Hook back in the FTW title picture. I don't want him to just retire the title. I'm ready to see Hook just be an AEW guy.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of the FTW title. I like that they can use this as a hardcore title, but I don't know, I kind of want them to just maybe create the AEW hardcore title if that's the case, but it seems
because this is what that promotion needs, more belts.
I mean, to replace the FTW one. Because when it's the FTW title, to me, it's sort of like, well, it should just stick around Hook. And I mean, Hook, for all we know, maybe he's leaving. We still don't know what the plan is for that. But if it's Hook and Jericho here, it seems a little early to just give the belt back to Hook, but it should just come back to him at some point. So I don't know. Maybe it is Brian Keith. And maybe it is that simple to just be like, all right, he gets a match. We're interested in pushing him a little bit. He loses to Jericho. Hook and Shibata have something else in the future. And maybe Joe gets, for all we know, maybe Joe is the guy that beats Jericho for the FTW title. I don't know. But I'm going to go with no matter who Jericho's up against, Jericho retains.
Yeah, I'll say Jericho retains.
Yeah, Jericho retains the title.
Let's switch gears a little bit, talk about a non-title match, but an eliminator match. The IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley going up against Konosuke Takeshita. If Takeshita wins, he gets a title match in the future at an unspecified date, which could be Forbidden Door, could be on an episode of Dynamite or Collision or Rampage, or he could lose. I mean, that's the setup. And we talked a little bit about this before, about the idea that maybe Moxley is being set up to have a match with Takeshita at Forbidden Door, and this is just to kind of kill some time. He has this match with Evil at the next New Japan pay-per-view, and then we circle back around to Takeshita and we do that. Or Forbidden Door could be Moxley against somebody like Tetsuya Naito, and Takeshita loses here. Or maybe Takeshita just gets a title match on an episode of Dynamite in the meantime, too. When it comes to New Japan stuff, of course, I'm not as tapped into it. So it's hard for me to kind of judge where they might go and their kind of element to this. And it is their championship. So they do get a bigger say of what happens in the future compared to Tony Khan. But I'm currently leaning towards Takeshita winning this, to be honest.
I like the fact that this is non-title, or it's a qualifier match, because I think that having Moxley defend the title straight up on this show just makes it super predictable. I've seen a lot of people make, stupid takes online saying, oh, why isn't it just a title match? You had Hobbs do a title match. Can't you do a title match? Well, do you want this match to be super predictable, or do you want an air of jeopardy about it? I'd much rather have the air of jeopardy about it. I think that having Takeshita potentially win this match and then say, okay, I'm calling my shot at Forbidden Door, could be a good way to get this interesting second match and see whether he can repeat it against Moxley, because he feels like a sort of guy that you could see as a IWGP World Champion, and not just because he's Japanese, because he really represents the strong style narrative as well. But I think that it also just adds the fact that maybe Moxley just knocks him off and can just win and go on to his title defense in the semi-main event against Evil, because they've already announced that they're not main eventing Dominion. So,
what is
expected? The Best Super Juniors final. Apparently, at least according to some reports that were going on at the time, that was always going to be the plan anyway. So I guess it makes sense they put a mid-card like Evil into the world title match. But I think that, I'm really looking forward to this match. I think they'll beat the shit out of each other, and it's probably one of the matches that I'm least sure about the victor. So I think I'm going to go with Takeshita as well, though, because it feels more interesting to me.
I definitely think it's Takeshita. It could be anybody. I mean, it could be Moxley, but it
could be one or two people
going to get the title shot. I think.
It's Camille. That's where we see her pop up. You're leaning more towards, you think Takeshita is winning this and getting a shot at what type of pay-per-view? Do you think it's going to be
probably
Forbidden
on
Door?
an episode of Dynamite.
What do you think they'll do for Forbidden Door?
What'd you say?
What do you think they'll do for Forbidden Door?
Oh, I don't know. I think it'd be cheesy to say that Moxley's the New Japan representative for Forbidden Door. I'd like to see him get an opponent.
Stan Hands.
I'd like to see him get a Tanahashi, or just anyone on that roster, but I don't want to see them be like, he's going to fight Takeshita at Forbidden Door because that's easy because he's the New Japan guy. No, I think it'd be better if they bring someone in for him.
The dude Tanahashi, like they did 2 years ago at the first Forbidden Door.
You could do Tanahashi. You could do... I think he's already beaten Ren Narita, right?
He's already beaten Tanahashi as well. He's beaten most of the people in the New Japan roster because that's what Moxley kind of does when he goes over there.
Gotta be.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, Zack Sabre Jr. is available.
They're gonna. I think they're leaning towards making Zack Sabre Jr. the winner of the G1, so I don't think they're going to do that just yet. But I think that the likelihood is that if it's not Takeshita at Forbidden Door, it's going to be Naito. Or Takagi. It's one of the two. Depends if Takagi drops the current belt that he's holding, but I don't think that he is just yet.
Never.
But
Yota Tsuji. Has he beaten Yota Tsuji yet?
no, but they're not going to make him the main eventer of the Forbidden Door thing.
I don't think that would be the main event match.
Well, no, but I don't think they'll even make him the world title challenger for the Forbidden Door. I think that Tsuji's... the steam's kind of coming off of him at the moment in terms of like he just doesn't feel like he's got a lot of forward momentum right now. Okay, yeah, it would be a fun match, but we know what the outcome would be. At least if you were to do something like Naito or even Takeshita again after beating Moxley here, there's a little bit of jeopardy, I think, too, about who wins. I think it's more likely that Moxley would win a Forbidden Door, whoever. But also, Forbidden Door's the last big opportunity for Moxley to drop that belt before the G1. And Moxley's not going to be in the G1.
True. He can't be in the G1. You know who'd be a fun option? Gabe. I mean, Moxley have to win, but Gabe Kidd's got a lot of momentum.
He just became the New Japan Strong Champion. I think it's unlikely he becomes the World Champion immediately afterwards, unless they're unifying the belts. And also that doesn't fit you have to always picture it for an American audience. That's not a big match.
Yeah, that sucks. Maybe you do have to run Takeshita at Forbidden Door.
I mean, it is weird, like you said, if that's, hey, Moxley is the New Japan guy, but he's the one holding the title, so they can just... Could be, you know. I mean, they probably know it's Matt Riddle, like, you know.
Oh, please.
Or it's Jack Perry.
Yeah, I think they've steered clear of that one for a good reason. So
push comes to shove, what are you guys picking, Moxley or Takeshita here?
Yeah, Takeshita's got to win. In any case, he's got to set up a title match.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Takeshita just because it's the more interesting approach.
I'm going to go with Takeshita as well. Maybe this involves the Duncal's family as the reason why, and we get another interference thing. Maybe it's just a straight up win for Takeshita. But let's move over to Timeless Toni Storm defending against Serena Deeb, AEW Women's World Championship match. Toni Storm retains. I don't know much more to say about it other than that. Serena Deeb's not giving me a vibe of them wanting to switch over to her in any capacity. She's just a challenger.
I know I've been beating this drum for a few weeks, not months, but last time I'll do it, I promise. This could have easily been the TBS situation, and Mercedes could easily be fighting for the major title. And yeah, that's that. Like Tony says, Toni Storm's going to win.
Yeah, this has been really dumb. And the reason why it's dumb is not because of the match itself. I think the match would be fine. It's like Toni Storm's been having some more decent matches recently, so I'm sure this match will be good. Because I even liked the Serena Deeb against Anna Jay match, and it's very rare I like an Anna Jay straight up singles match these days, and she managed to get a good match out of her, so I'm sure she can do the same with Toni Storm. The bigger issue is the fact that Toni Storm should be babyface going into this one, and they haven't decided to do that. They've decided to keep her as a heel, which means the crowd are going to cheer for her when she's supposed to be wrestling as a heel, and that's going to throw off the entire dynamics of the match. And
I don't know, yeah, I kind of thought she was turning, because like she's fighting Saraya and Harley Cameron. They're not baby faces.
But on Collision, Serena Deeb was wrestling as a babyface against Anna Jay, and then Toni Storm came out and did a striptease under her flag.
Yeah, but if the audience is cheering, does that make you just the de facto face?
It should do, but then she's going to wrestle the match like the heel, and she's the one that's going to get the heat on Serena Deeb. And so it's basically when Serena Deeb is getting beaten down and the crowd is supposed to be getting behind her to make the comeback, they're just going to be chanting for Toni the entire time. And then when Serena Deeb does make the comeback, they're going to start booing her while she does it. So I don't know why they haven't just steered into what really should be happening, if they had any sense going into this feud, is that after Toni Storm beat Thunder Rosa, they should have gone full bore into turning Toni Storm and Mariah May into a babyface act. Continue that for a while. Mariah May then turns on Toni Storm and then beats her for the title. It's All In. That's the obvious path, but they're clearly going for the route of they're going to keep Toni Storm heel, so Mariah May is the babyface going into All In. I guess because she's British, and so they feel like that's a bigger moment. But I'm going to say, yeah, it'll be a big moment on that show, but guess what? Every other show from that point on, going towards All In and after All In, isn't in the UK. So she can be a heel every other show outside of All In. So, but I just think that, that they're going very backwards with the booking here, and I don't like the impact that's going to have on this match.
Look, where the fuck is Jamie Hayter?
Because
you just mentioned All In, and I thought that would be like, yay, Jamie Hayter's
Well,
back.
apparently they've just the reports I saw saying things like they just put like a indeterminate timetable on her return because they didn't know, and apparently like there's still no clear set date on when she's going to return. So clearly the injury was
depressing,
very bad.
Dude.
Yeah,
that's really depressing. Wow. Yeah, I think this is fine. Unlike Jon Moxley, we know who she's fighting at Forbidden Door. She'll be fighting Mina Shirakawa. And that'll be a fun match with Mariah May in the middle. And I'm more excited for that than I am this match, because unfortunately, as good as a wrestler as Serena Deeb is, there's no steam on her.
She's exactly what they need for somebody who's built up enough to fight the champion and lose, but not enough that, you know, a casual person's going to pay much attention to that. Somebody like me that, yeah, has a more like, I guess, cynical point of view when it comes to that, isn't going to be like, well, maybe there's going to be a title change. Like, no, that's not going to. Serena Deeb's not going to win. And the match itself might be good, might be kind of blah, but by the end of this, it's just going to be probably easily forgettable, I think. I'm not looking at this as something that I'm going to be like, I got to make sure that this has my full attention and that, you know, I'm expecting any kind of surprises or anything. I don't think we're going to get any kind of big, you know, hoopla over anything. It's just going to be a match for Toni Storm to win. And then she moves on to the next person. It doesn't feel at all like this is like a double or nothing. Wow, 5-year anniversary. Let's give her this match. It almost seems more like it's like, well, I guess we got Serena Deeb. Put her in there. And again, that's, you know, somebody who hasn't been digging the Toni Storm character, so it's not like it's just, you know, all on Serena Deeb. I haven't been a big fan of this Toni Storm gimmick in a long while. So if it were a scenario where she was really standing out to me as like the most interesting thing and all, then I probably would be more interested in it. But at this point, I honestly don't really care too much.
You not liking Toni Storm invalidates your entire letterbox. You don't know cinema.
It's been a while since I added anything to that letterbox. I didn't finish Fast and the Furious 2 yet. I had to stop that about a quarter of the way through. Pick it back up another time.
About family, but they're in Tokyo.
Nah, that's apparently the third one. Although I am confused already about like how like Vin Diesel's not even in this one. This is, you know, these movies are so stupid. But that's what's part of the fun. So we're all going Toni Storm retaining here, but maybe we'll disagree about this next one. It's Adam Copeland against Malakai Black for the AEW TNT Championship, and they're going to be fighting in a barbed wire steel cage match. That already makes me go, all right, neat. I'm down for that. I want to see a barbed wire steel cage match. And that makes me way more interested than if it was just Copeland versus Black in a regular match. Cool. And it also makes me think, well, maybe the title is going to change hands here. Although I am leaning a little bit more towards Copeland just retaining, and that this is like a means to put him over more as like, wow, what a fighting champion, than it is for Malakai Black to be the next one. So, push comes to shove, I'm going with the champ retaining here, but I could be persuaded one way or another. What do you guys think?
Is there also the stipulation that if Cope loses, he has to join the group? He has to bend the knee, as it was put?
Yes, that's what Malakai has said, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think it'll be a great match. If Malakai Black is still capable of great matches, I think this could be one. You know, it's amazing that Adam Copeland is just like, yeah, I'll fucking do a barbed wire steel cage match. Why not? Looking forward to seeing what they do, and I hope it's as good as I think it can be. This Adam Copeland run, I must begrudgingly say, is gonna be a boost to his legacy versus how Edge ended. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the match should be pretty good. I think that like Copeland's been one of the big bright sparks in AEW TV since he's come in. He's done an excellent job. I think better than anyone could have anticipated. He just looks rejuvenated and excited to be there. Talk about a guy who's at least by all reports is not very excited to be there, Malakai Black. Mm-hmm. I think that I've been very underwhelmed with his in-ring output for the most part since he's been in AEW. I think that he started off well with the Cody feud, but since then, I mean, he doesn't wrestle singles matches very often. But a lot of people, I don't know where the fault actually lies with that. I don't know whether that's just Tony Khan not wanting to put him in singles matches, whether he doesn't want to be in singles matches. It's like all up in the air. But this is an opportunity for him to shine. He's going up against the guy who's arguably, outside of a couple of people, putting the best in-ring output in AEW at the moment. So hopefully it's a fun match, plenty of blood and gore and all of that stuff. I hope it's again, no, this is like a WWE bias, or at least from the past WWE bias, but it does bleed over into pretty much every wrestling promotion. I'm kind of tired of steel cage matches where it's almost obvious that someone's going to get involved from the outside. Mm-hmm. So I want if the people get involved from the outside, I want that to happen after the match, or at least they try and get in, but they can't get in because either Kyle O'Reilly could help out or something. But it needs to just have a definitive end. I don't think Copeland is joining the House of Black. I think he's just they're doing it to just make it a bit more of a violent, aggressive matchup. I think he'll probably kill Malakai with the concerto or something. Maybe on top of the barbed wire steel cage. That'd be fun. But yeah, I see Copeland getting the victory here. I don't think he's holding this title for too much longer, but I don't think it's but I don't think he's dropping it to Malakai.
You guys think we're going to see Malakai by the end of the year in WWE?
I don't know his contract status, but maybe.
I think they're probably more inclined to potentially release certain people now, and so it just depends on what will happen. I think that the only people I would keep out of the House of Black are Brody and Julia. I think you can do without Malakai or Buddy. So yeah, we'll see. It just depends on if they want to end up sticking around for a little bit, or if they feel like they've got other things they can do with Malakai and Buddy while they still have them under contract.
So I
it
think
might be one of those things like. Yeah, it might be one of those things like everyone just assumed that Brian Cage was going to leave, and he just keeps re-signing with AEW. So maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just all speculation with Malakai.
It could be. Same with Buddy. A lot of people just assuming that he's going to go to WWE because of Rhea Ripley, but
I guess they both their partners are in.
But
WWE,
that is a different incentive to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and also, maybe they've looked at AEW now, or looked over at WWE, and they've seen what they've been doing, or what they more aptly have not been doing with Andrade, and just thinking, oh yeah, maybe it doesn't get better if I go back to WWE.
It's kind of hard because I definitely think Andrade is a good example of, hey, you're not guaranteed anything, but there are other examples of, hey, this person's doing better. Maybe it's, does Malakai think he can take a better chance on himself? You know?
And of course, that is like a lot contingent upon his like contract status and everything, which we don't necessarily know. So we can speculate all we want about that and still be dead wrong if it ends up being like, hey, he's got a year left on his contract and we're going to be seeing him in AEW for the foreseeable future. Or it could end up being like, yeah, you know what? They decided to just cut bait. And I think in either way, I don't imagine Malakai Black's going to be winning this championship. And,
you know, I got to be honest with you, though. I feel like Copeland with these Cope Opens, I'm enjoying them, but I'm also getting to the point of, can we get this Christian reunion before one of you gets hurt and I don't get it? Like, I'm very nervous about that. Because, I mean, you're going to talk about somebody else in this card who's like, I don't know, the doctor says I need surgery and I can't keep doing this. Like, can we get these matches in, please?
And that's not even the only person in that match that's injured.
Well, I don't think that, even though I think that he's retaining this title, I don't think that he's going to be champion for that much longer.
Who do you think is going to end up beating him? Or do you have
Jack Perry?
Yeah, Jack Perry makes a lot of sense.
You know who should beat him? Nick Wayne.
I'd
be all right with getting that full circle in there. But Jack Perry's a great answer, and Jack Perry deserves because he's doing great work.
So we're all going Copeland winning that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all going to probably agree on the AEW International Championship match, Will Ospreay against Roderick Strong. Seems pretty straightforward that Will Ospreay's just winning everything these days, and Roderick Strong is not as big of a deal as he was a few months ago. And the Undisputed Kingdom, I don't know what they're planning on doing.
Congratulate Roderick Strong on being the only part of this that has worked. Poor guy. It's coming to an end sooner than we thought because Ospreay ain't losing.
Yeah, Ospreay's winning that belt.
Yep. Ospreay wins the title, and this should be, well, I'd say basically every Ospreay match on every pay-per-view has been one of, if not the best match on the card. So I don't think this can be any different because Roderick Strong, whether you kind of like this gimmick or not, I'm kind of go 50-50 of it. When parts where I feel like it's too comedic, but then there's parts of it that, you know, that can be amusing but not going too over the top. But I think that what we do know is that he has great matches, and he'll have a great match with Ospreay here. And yeah, I think it's a good first step for Ospreay. I know loads of people just see, and they're right to see it, that he should be like the face of the company moving forward. But I feel like this is a good stepping stone route to get him there. Have him hold like a mid-card title that hasn't meant as much since it was first introduced with like the reign that Cassidy had in particular. But him holding that title could really elevate it. I still really like the idea that I have of using it as a means of unifying that with the Continental Championship at the next Continental Classic at the end of the year. But in order for that to feel like a big deal, I think Ospreay has to hold it for a while and to hold it through Wembley and all these other months. And he'll have a banger match with whoever he ends up facing at Forbidden Door. I think that there's a good chance he faces Cassidy at Forbidden Door, but just as a kind of like a redo of their match from the first one, and especially with like his title, like Cassidy's former title on the line. But because it would feel a little bit odd because you likely would have a match of Forbidden Door, but the fact that Ospreay's no longer a New Japan guy, and so he'd be facing a guy that he was still in New Japan with, but as the AEW guy instead, it's going to feel a little bit weird. A lot of Forbidden Door is going to feel quite weird because a lot of the big New Japan guys are now AEW guys. So,
and we're also kind of working under the assumption that a lot of championships are going to be defended and all too. They could look at this and just go, the big draw for Forbidden Door is this CMLL guy against this New Japan guy against this AEW guy in a triple threat. And it could just be as generic as that is. And I would lean more towards, well, Ospreay is probably going to fight somebody from New Japan and defend this championship, but there's no guarantees of that. He can fight a CMLL guy, for all we know, and then they could hold off on doing something with him and Takeshita, like you said, about the Continental title, or not Takeshita, Kazuchika Okada. And Takeshita has this whole thing with Moxley, and maybe we could play around with Takeshita and Ospreay in the future for this, and the split from the Don Callis family. There's a lot of elements to that. I mean, for all we know, it's Will Ospreay against Trent Beretta, But I think it's pretty certain Ospreay's beating Roderick Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Same for you too, right, Rob?
Yep.
So then the final 2 matches, I think we only have 2 more left. Yeah. Talk about. We've got what in many regards would be the main event on a normal situation, but I don't think it's going to be here. It's Christian Cage going up against the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. It's a situation that, this feud's not been my absolute favorite, but at the same time, sure, Christian Cage is great. He's a viable contender to lose to Swerve. Swerve got his teammates to abandon him, so he doesn't have them as backup against the whole patriarchy. So it puts him in jeopardy a little bit in that regard. It's perfectly fine, and Swerve Strickland retains.
Yeah, I knew this wasn't main eventing when they announced it. Christian Cage is wonderful, and I think he's amazing. And there's part of me that thinks he deserves world title run with the run he's been on. But Swerve has to win it here, and I hope it's a banger match. Like, I'm talking Christian versus Kenny Omega from the first Rampage level banger. Like, I want to see them have a really good one.
Yeah, I think the match itself could be very good. I know that it doesn't feel like the big, huge world championship match that we're kind of hoping for Swerve, and Swerve is starting to feel like a bit of an upper mid-carder holding the world title. The more I kind of reflect back on the match at Dynasty and everything that's happened, I kind of feel like he's holding the title too soon. Maybe it was a few months. It just needed a few months to need the right opponent for him to feel like the biggest star coming out of when he does first win the title. Now he's kind of having to still fight a little bit of an uphill battle and prove himself. And so this match with Christian is a good opportunity for him to have a great match and secure the victory and beat a guy who's been a long-standing champion with the TNT title for pretty much all of 2023. And yeah, it won't be the outright main event, but he can still put himself in a strong position. I mean, I think that Swerve will start to really kick on and feel like the big part of the show once Adam Page comes back and they build everything around that feud. So, but I think we're just in the holding pattern. I think this, and then whoever he ends up defending the title against from New Japan at Forbidden Door, and then I think from that point on, that all the way in the build up to All In is just going to be all Swerve Hangman or Swerve versus the Elite, that kind of story. So yeah, I think that this is just the holding period before we get this big summer of Swerve push, or at least feud with the title. It's a similar way to how Cody's at the moment, just going through just certain guys they'll have good matches with, but just don't really hold any real threat to his title.
Anybody stand out to you that you think is going to end up being the one that fights Swerve at Forbidden Door?
He wants Takagi, and I think give it to him.
Oh, I mean, I would love it to be Takagi. I think that would be the best match that you could have. I mean, Naito would be cool, but I wouldn't want to further enrage the New Japan fans that are so angry about this whole AEW relationship with New Japan and how it's so one-sided by having them just beat arguably the top guy in New Japan straight away. So yeah, Takagi sounds like a really good choice. I hope it's not Sonada, but I feel like it might be Sonada. I hope it's not Evil, but I also fear that it might be Evil as well, or Ren Narita, or anyone from the House of Torture. Maybe Shota Umino. That could be a fun match, and Shota just loses anyway, so that could be another way of getting across. Zack Sabre Jr. would be fun. So yeah, there's no one that's immediately standing out. I think we'll know pretty soon into like following the show. I think probably by the start of June we'll know who the challenger will be. But yeah, I think it could be a CMLL guy that he defends the title against, or somebody else. So we don't know just yet. I assume it'll be like one of the top New Japan guys, but we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, as like this match, I'm sure will be very, very good. I don't think it'll be the best match of the night. There's plenty of ones that have got a competition for it, but I think they'll try their hardest to make it seem like a big match.
One of the more predictable ones. I don't think anybody really, for the most part, thinks that Christian's going to win that title. But you know.
Oh no, this one is like stone cold.
Yeah, I mean,
Sweetman wins here.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad though. Like, I just wouldn't. Christian's so good.
Oh yeah, Christian's great. Like in other scenarios, I would like him to win the world title, but I think that you don't kill off Swerve's title reign just in one hit like that.
Imagine the Father's Day celebration.
And then our main event, the Anarchy in the Arena match, the Elites, Jack Perry, Young Bucks, and Kazuchika Okada against Team AEW, which has already changed around. Originally, it was FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston got injured, so he's replaced by an injured Darby Allin. And Bryan Danielson is the one that Rob was talking about earlier of like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this match. So 2 members of Team AEW are not in a great position to wrestle here.
I want to say Bryan Danielson's also a liar.
Yeah, Danielson's lying about that one.
Like, it's just... But because it's Danielson, you'll buy it every time. And it's just so concerning because I don't want to see him miss Wembley. I want to see him hopefully taking on Nigel at Wembley. And I want him to end his career the way he wants. And I don't want him to get too injured here. That being said, it's a violent match. It should be a lot of fun. I think even if it's a toy one, Cash Wheeler should have a gun. Like, I think it would be okay and funny if something happened where there was some kind of element of a gun. But, I think you can have fun with this match. I think Darby Allin, I don't know how he's alive. He got hit by a bus, 2 weeks ago in New York City, Tony. Tony, go get hit by a bus. Let me know what happens.
Don't tempt me.
This guy's insane. That he's so fucking cool because of it. And I think that from this moment on, everything should be building to Darby versus Danielson at Wrestle Dream in Danielson's last full-time match.
Darby to have that.
I think it should be Darby. Darby's a Seattle kid. I think Darby wants the match. Bryan wants to help the spirit of AEW. Darby is the spirit of AEW. It's so cool that he's on this team, but he shouldn't even be moving. Honestly, I don't know how he's functioning. On the flip side of this, while I don't love everything the Young Bucks do, boy, Jack Perry is a fucking star, huh? Jack Perry looks great and comes off great in all of this.
With each passing week, the decision to show that CM Punk footage feels more and more justified. It just does, because Perry's he feels different. He feels super over. He feels more intense. Okada's great. Okada just does what he does, and that's just always going to be enough. And the Bucks are doing really good shtick with the heel turn as the more comedic side of their group. But yeah, the Team AEW makes sense with having FTR against the Bucks. That's the blood feud of AEW, just their constant tag team wrestling stuff. Bryan Danielson, who's also going to be wrestling Satnam Singh on Dynamite, so that's going to be hilarious. And then going into this match, so that should be fun. But yeah, he's leaning into the injury angle that they did with Will Ospreay at Dynasty, and just saying that's part of the reason why he shouldn't be back doing this. But he is here because he's here to protect AEW. And then Darby Allin has to replace Eddie Kingston. And I don't know how far in advance this was planned, but Darby, like, is just a madman for doing all this stuff, and he's mad for being in this type of match anyway. But the fact that he's going to do probably some really crazy shit, and he's going to and that's going to end up with, I don't know, doing something ridiculously crazy that he shouldn't do and potentially injuring himself again. But he'll probably end up doing something that should injure him, but he'll come out without a scratch, and then he'll just fall over on the way the plane on the way home or whatever, and he just and that'll injure him for 3 months or whatever. But that's just...
The Elite should get a bus and just
and hit him with the bus, yeah. And
they should do a Spider-Man spot where he's able to hang on and just avoid being hit or something. Because
they should attack him with mountain boots.
Honestly, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah,
given that he was supposed to climb to
exactly.
Everest. There's a lot here. I think it'll be fun. It's my favorite match of the year, almost every year from this company, because it's like the fun of Survivor Series matches with fucking chaos, and who doesn't love chaos? And I think obviously the Elite's got to win.
Oh, they're definitely winning.
But that doesn't mean we can't have a damn fun match along the way.
Oh yeah, the Elite have to win to reinforce their position, but I still think this is going to be tons of fun as a result. I think that part of me is also thinking that maybe we haven't seen the last substitution on the AEW team either, because they have done an angle in the build up to this of having both Dax and Cash get taken out, or at least get injured by what were they called, the Righteous.
Yes,
on
correct.
The episode of Collision, and then we've got Danielson, who's hurt, or at least going through the idea of being hurt, against Satnam Singh, who's a giant on Dynamite, and then you have Darby Allin, who can barely walk and move, and he's already admitting to himself that he shouldn't be doing this. So, and on the sideline of this, they are also teasing Daniel Garcia's involvement. So I think that there could be a possibility of someone else getting ripped out of this match, and Daniel Garcia being slotted in. So we'll have to see whether that changes by the time Dynamite happens, and we can be talking about it on the hot tags maybe. But
I mean, look, as much as I want to see Darby in this match, it makes all the fucking sense in the world for Darby to not be in this match, and instead, Daniel Garcia can take his place.
But Robbie's right. Darby, I think, embodies the spirit of AEW more than anybody that's ever been in that promotion. And I think that if anybody should be the leader or the glue that holds that team together, it should be Darby. And yeah, I'm totally down with his idea of having him be the one that has Danielson's last match as a full-time wrestler as well. And I think that, yeah, he deserves for everything that he's gone through and everything he's done for the company. He deserves to be a focal point in this almost power struggle for the company.
I'd be shocked if they took people out again, just by switching it up over and over. But stranger things have happened.
If we were in the pandemic era, I would legit love a cinematic scene where somebody in the Elite tries to hit Darby with a car or a bus or something, and Sting saves him. Just almost like the Spider-Man Family Guy, everybody gets one. Sting just, repels down from somewhere and gets him out of there, and it's just like a thumbs up moment.
I think that's to be the part of the match when Darby eventually wins the world title.
Yeah, that's true. Eventually, you do get there, and I think we haven't seen the last of Sting on camera. But I don't know. I'm just excited because it's wacky, and it's even wackier now that Darby's in it. Best wishes to Eddie Kingston, out till January. So with that dreaded ACL, guys. Yeah. That dreaded ACL tear that's just ruining today's wrestlers. But it'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Elite does next.
I am assuming continue to win and barrel on through to the point we get to a blood and guts match.
All in place.
Yeah, I mean, you're just No, he doesn't get everything. He can't get that too. That would be a lot of fun though.
Alrighty, so that is Double or Nothing then. Of course, we are going to know more about this card tomorrow night and throughout the rest of the week. Of course, the Dynamite stuff might change it up and try to get some updates on that front. Anything that we didn't talk about, can roll that along as well. And whether or not we do have a post show is up in the air until that day. But if I'm able to do it, then we'll certainly be talking about that. If not, we'll roll that into next week's talk and have some kind of an episode revolving around that or something. But
yeah, just like a going over where we do King of the Ring and Double or Nothing.
Yeah, something along those lines. We're gonna have to see how any of that plays out. But in the meantime, of course, you can always check out smarkoutmoment.com for any kind of updates that I'm able to do. And you can keep paying attention to this channel. You can keep an eye on everything else that is happening with Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anonymous and all. Keep hitting up the Discord. Keep checking out the Facebook group. Have the, Smarketplace stuff that we've talked about before too in your mind. Help us out on the monetary side of things, or just even hit the like button on this one. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Make sure that you're following all the stuff on the link tree that you can find on amangotree.com. Follow me at Toni Mango at most of those places, and make sure you are following Callum and Rob too.
Yep, follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. Fightful is going to have a ton of coverage, as we always do, for Double or Nothing and King and Queen of the Ring. Also, we've got Sean Scoops on Select, Corey Brennan's NXT Scoops on Select. Fightful's the one-stop shop for wrestling news. And you should all be checking that out. And, check out my social media as well, at Dude Felice. Ellen?
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14 and check out the Power Rankings every Saturday on smarkermoment.com to see how I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And then you can also head on over to the Fantasy League, which will be basing a lot of points and a lot of changes to the rosters based on what happens at King and Queen of the Ring, which we can go back and check out our predictions there as well. But find that at www.fantasyleague.com or just navigate to it through Smart Cat Moment and you'll find it, and so you can see how our teams are performing.
Alrighty, everybody, that's Double or Nothing preview. Thank you for tuning in. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below, and we will see you next time, and hopefully over the weekend and everything. Adios for now, though. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.